Hello everyone and welcome to Green Eggs and Ham. I'm Scott Irwin. Unfortunately, today's video isn't going to be about cooking on the big green egg or about ham radio. Unfortunately, I've got a problem that needs to be fixed around the house. So in this episode, we're going to fix the air conditioning drain that the lawn services broke. As you can see here in the photo, they probably got it caught in the handle of one of their pieces of equipment and snapped it right off at the elbow. After a trip to Home Depot, we've got all the necessary parts. I think we do anyway. One of the guys promised me I'd be back. At any rate, today we're going to fix that drain so it gets the water away from the house, out of the Home Depot bucket, and where it's supposed to go. So stick with us. This is Green Eggs and Ham. Okay, so what I have here is some P150 medium grit sandpaper. It says it smooths. And we're going to do a couple of things. One, we're going to get the paint off of this pipe so that it makes an appropriate bond when we go to do the pipe cement. And then the other thing we're going to do is I noticed that this end is not actually cut straight. So we're going to use a file and we're going to get a good cut on that. So let's start with the sanding first. And I figure we're going to need about a ½ inch there. So it's going to come to about here, if you can see. So I'm going to put my thumb there. And we're just going to go back and forth with the sandpaper and see what it does. Quite a bit of paint on there, although it got it quite smooth. Keep going for that. As I'm going along here, there's quite a bit of heat generated by that, so I'm going to put on gloves here. Didn't realize that. Quite a bit of heat actually being generated from that, but we're getting closer. We got some of the paint off here. The only reason I'm doing this is I want to get a decent bond, but I don't want to have to rebuild this whole drain. A little bit more. Should do it. Oh yeah, look at that. That's going to fit nicely. Maybe not as tight as you'd want it, but I think it's going to do just fine. So we've got the elbow on there. We can actually do a couple of things here, but we're going to focus on the 3-foot long piece of pipe now. The whole intent is that this is going to fit in here like this. We'll clip it about here, maybe, or here, and then we'll use a coupling and we'll cut another piece the same type, and then we'll be able to go outside, and hopefully by then the air conditioning will have stopped draining and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So let's go ahead and cut this and see what happens here. All right, so I want this to be about 2 feet long, or about 1 foot long. Actually, maybe 6 inches long. The number keeps getting shorter. I'm going to go for 6 inches here. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that off with a tape measure and a pencil. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just so that we know it's the 6-inch mark. So if you're looking to use this type of cutter, it's actually quite easy. You just undo the safety release, you'll see that it pops out. But hey, why isn't it coming open? The truth of the matter is you actually just have to give it a tug, and there you go, you're ready to cut. Once you open it, you cannot close it unless you actually do the ratcheting motion. So as you ratchet, it's going to continue to close until your pipe is cut. It's not the best way to cut pipe, and it's not the cleanest, as you can see on the other piece of pipe. I'm going to have to do some work there to get that squared off at 90 degrees. But again, just pull this out, and now you're ready to cut. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and cut this pipe. As you can see, we've got a mark on here for 6 inches. I've got my pipe cutter opened up, and we're going to be ready to rock and roll here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to put it in there in the cradle just like this. I'm going to ratchet my blade down so that it just touches the mark. And there it is. I'm going to make sure that my pipe is level with the cutter, and then I'm just going to start ratcheting the handle as I progress. And you may have to use 2 hands on this. I know I did the last time. But as you can see, it's actually cutting into the pipe. There it is. So there is the first run of pipe. That's going to go in here. Just like that. Then we'll use this coupling. And then we'll use another 6-inch piece of pipe. It's actually going to be a little bit lower than the actual drain was before, but that's okay. It should do just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the other 6-inch pipe, measure it up, and away we go. And there's the other 6-inch piece of pipe. So now we can fit it. Just like that. And now we can put this into the broken piece that's on the pipe on the house. But before we do that, we need to do some cutting over at the house. So we'll take a walk out there and check the AC unit, make sure it's not leaking, and then we should be good to go. I also did notice that I may have taken a little bit of the external casing of this pipe off, but I think it'll be okay once we get it cemented in. If not, we'll figure something out. We may have to rebuild this part, but we're going to try this and see what happens. So let's go back out to the air conditioning unit, make sure that its dripping is complete, and away we go. Okay, you can see that the air conditioning unit now is stopped leaking. We're going to go ahead and make our cut on this pipe. First, I'm going to move the bucket out of the way because I really don't want to drop anything in there. There's still a little bit of a leak there, but that's okay. First thing I'm going to do is protect the side of the house, and I do have a little bit of clay in there, so I'm going to slide this paper in there. And I happen to know if I stick my hand up here that the pipe ends right about there. So that's where we're going to make our cut. I was really hoping that this would fit under there. Let's take a look here. gonna work. Thought it would. Have to get a saw. Okay, as you saw, the cutter isn't doing the job, so we're gonna change our method to a saw. This ought to be loads of fun. This probably is not the right tool for the job, but we're gonna do it anyway. Stuff underneath there. Crazy. First off, we're going to go ahead and make sure that our interior of the pipe is clean. And then we're going to use this all-purpose cement. We're going to liberally coat the inside and outside of the pipes and fit it in there, and away we go. This should be a decent enough fix for what we need it to do, since it's not really under pressure. It's just a gravity-fed drain for the AC unit. I've kicked the video into hyperdrive here, so you're not bored with me doing the same thing over and over and over again for the next 5 minutes. What I'm trying to do now is make sure that the pipe is as clean as possible. There was a surprising amount of gunk and buildup in that particular connector. Remember, the goal is to make sure that the pipe is as dry as possible for the best bond possible. And there we have it. Next, I'll do a test fit to make sure that the pipes fit together as I expect, and they do. So now I'll work from the top down, applying cement on the inside and outside of each of the fittings until it's together, wiping off the excess. And there you have it, a new drain. Next up on Grain, Eggs, and Ham, join us as we take a look at Trio Forever, my cousin Troy and Leonore's wedding up in Orlando, Florida. Don't despair if you came here looking for big green eggs, smoking and cooking. We've got an Easter prime rib that'll make you drool. Stick with us, subscribe using the link below.